If a car, or any machine, can have a heart, it would certainly be the engine. And what engine has more heart than a V8 mounted low under the carbon fiber hood of a Ford Mustang GT3? A V8 that comes off the factory floor like millions of other V8 engines much like it, but this one is destined to spend its life screaming down the Almond Strait of Sebring, through the forests of Road America, or echoing off the high bank turns of Daytona. This engine isn't just powerful, it also has to be reliable. It has to be able to withstand the rigors of 24 hours of constant thrashing by drivers battling wheel to wheel and asking everything from it. It has to deliver incredible performance, reliability, and it has to do so under some of the harshest conditions a machine could endure. It's been machined, massaged, tuned, and hand-assembled specifically for this task. The task of enduring. The task of winning races.
Yeah, our ponies, they're there, and I like the noise, I like the sound of it. But what I like about our engine is it's there always. It's not like peaky, it's not like low, it's like the whole band.
You can make the world's most powerful engine, which we as engineers absolutely want to do, but it's really about winning a 24-hour race. You break down once, you're out of the race. So you've really got to focus on your regulations and making sure you can work there reliably.
For sports car racing and endurance racing with balance of performance, there's really no benefit to making, 1,000 horsepower and running everything right on the edge. Robustness and reliability is really the key, especially when you're racing for 24 hours.
The Mustang GT3 race engine is designed from and starts life as a Coyote 5-liter V8 cylinder block. It's first cast and shipped to the Essex engine plant like millions of other engines in F-150 and Mustang vehicles. First, it's specifically milled and bored on the factory assembly line to 5.4 liters of displacement.
GT3 block is a little bit special, but it's built on, by regulation, it has to be built from 5-liter castings and base machining. So what we do is we work with Essex Engine Plant, and we've kind of designed a couple of special machining features for us, all derived from production. So maybe the coolest thing I've done at Ford Performance is that when we needed GT3 parts, I actually called up Essex Engine and said, hey, I need a block. We've got our own production code. They'll type it in, they'll process it, put it in the schedule, and it just goes.
It's checked over and then shipped off for a few finishing machining touches. From there, it goes to M Sport in England's Lake District, where it's meticulously assembled by hand by some of the finest technicians in the world.
The best way to describe M Sport is we started as purely as a rally team, working only for Ford. We realised that if we can make an engine competitive in that type of environment, there's no reason why we can't do it in other areas. The sound is good, I can tell you that. Everybody in here can hear when it's on the dyno, which gets everybody quite excited. I think from that side of it, it's giving everybody a real buzz to be working with a naturally aspirated V8 that sounds as good as it does.
It's given a shakedown on the dyno, packaged, and shipped off to Multimatic Motorsports in North Carolina, where it will begin its life powering a Mustang GT3 around racetracks across the globe.
The engine package is incredibly important, so we did a lot of work to push the engine as far down and rearward as possible. It's a completely bespoke system, so the scavenge pump, air oil separator, the pan, it's all unique to this engine.
Meanwhile, engine development and constant endurance testing is ongoing at Ford in Dearborn, in one of their state-of-the-art dyno cells, where the engine is being abused with simulation labs and even entire 24-hour races.
Historically, we used to just run the engine dyno. So back in the Ford GT race car days, we would just run the engine dyno for durability. So you're not incorporating the feedback from the driveline into that test. So what we did is we set up our powertrain cell. So it's a cell on the Dearborn campus at Ford. So we will run simulated races in the dyno with the full driveline and powertrain. That gives us the feedback from prop shaft, from the gearbox, shifting, I'd like to say, I think it's probably the most complex test within all of Ford Motor Company. Each lap is about 5,700 meters, so 5.7 kilometers. It's about 2 minutes, so it's 30 per hour times 24. It's a long time.
On a program like GT3, you can really touch every part of the engine. You can do a lot to it to really modify. How does the torque come on? How does the power peak and dive off? How does it drive?
The Mustang GT3 engine has to also be reliable, both for the factory Ford and Multimatic Motorsports race teams, but also the future Mustang GT3 customer teams. It needs to perform consistently and be able to do so while minimizing engine rebuilds throughout the season to help reduce costs.
A test like today, where we've got 2 cars here, it allows us to look at things like different exhaust systems. One of our team based in Dearborn has designed 2 different exhaust systems, 2 different mufflers. It's not so much now about the performance, it's about getting the sound level right. There's actually requirements that we've got to stay below.
Don't know exactly what happened there, but we think that some of the residual oil from the Road America issue where we lost the oil line, like just kind of impregnated the carbon fiber on that side. And so right there, we were just breaking in quieter mufflers also, and they build, I think, some more heat, especially when you're breaking them in and burning them out. That heat, I mean, we're talking about like it's, you know, it's a 1/4 inch from the muffler pack to the carbon, and it just seems like it just caught the carbon on fire again.
I believe that's it, because it's just the rocker which is completely
that's the
burned.
side that we had all the oil go to the rear.
Yeah,
everything.
that was, it was just an extension of what we did 2 weeks ago.
So we just put new rocker panels on and kind of give it another go.
Racing is hard, especially like long endurance racing, 24 hours. Obviously, you need to run the car properly, but it needs to be reliable. You know, you need to have the fastest car. If you can continue constantly doing your stints, you might be on the podium. You know?
How many things can we test in an environment that's under our control versus at a race where it's out of our control? So we keep going through the list, trying to get more mileage, trying to make sure we push the engine into areas that a driver may push it into. And for every test we do, we think of another one. The list never gets shorter, it tends to get longer until you're out of time.
The biggest thing for me is that we're doing laps with no issues. That's a big thing to me. You know, we have 2 months till we're on track at Daytona, like real life roar, basically going racing. So I think the more laps we can turn, the better off we are.
We've had a timeline and a plan, and we've got all the right people and everything in place. The things that we don't know or that we can't control, that's what I worry about. Is something going to come that we're not expecting that derails us?
Vivian Escher, the one stop for all the automotive enthusiasts.